Ever felt like you're on a roller coaster?
Yeah.
You know, one minute you're up, celebrating something great, the next you're kind of bracing for a fall.
Oh, absolutely. That constant feeling of, well, gain and loss is just part of being human, isn't it? Navigating that ebb and flow.
Exactly. And that's what we're really getting into today. We've been digging into this fascinating conversation I had not long ago with Pumi Neem and Thuy Min. It was on V, etc.
Ah, the Dongmet discussion, episode 4, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Gain creates loss, loss creates gain, something like that. And they covered so much ground.
They really did. From like the nitty-gritty of raising kids to these really deep philosophical thoughts on life, death, even business leadership came up.
Totally. And what really stuck with me was this core idea, how sometimes what looks like a definite loss can actually, pave the way for a gain. And the flip side, too.
Right. How the gains we celebrate might contain the seeds of future loss.
Precisely. So our mission today is kind of explore that whole relationship between duck, gain, and mutt, loss. See what we can unpack.
And it's something I imagine most people listening have experienced. You've probably felt this dynamic in your own life.
Oh, for sure. Relationships, work, just personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive in. One of the first things that came up was how relative gain and loss actually are. It's not so cut and dry.
Not at all. It really depends on, the context
Yeah.
and your perspective at the time. What feels like a huge loss now might look totally different later on.
Yeah, like that thought experiment you talked about. Imagine you get offered the chance to live life on Earth. Full package deal.
The highest highs, the lowest lows.
All of it. The joy, the sorrow, everything. But here's the catch. It's for a limited time only. Would you sign up?
It's a big question, isn't it? If you could step back and see the whole picture beforehand, would you agree to the deal? Knowing the intense joy might come with, well, deep pain.
Right. Because maybe they aren't really separate things from that bigger view, just different facets of the whole experience. And that connects to the main theme. Do creates mutt, and mutt creates duck, like a seesaw.
Uh-huh. One side goes up, the other goes down. Thuy Min's reflections on raising children illustrated this so well.
Oh, yeah, that was powerful.
That incredible joy, the fulfillment of being a parent that's the clear duck, the gain, but it naturally involves giving up a lot of personal energy, time.
Control, too, especially as they get older.
Exactly. As they grow and become their own people, that's the mutt, the letting go.
It's that classic moment, right? You pour everything into them, and then they need their independence. It can feel like a loss, like that closeness is changing.
It can, but as they discussed, it's maybe more of a transformation, not an ending, just a shift in the form of the connection.
Okay, so this is where it got really interesting for me. The California century plant analogy.
Ah, yes, the agave.
Right. It spends years growing these huge leaves, right? Massive things. Then, boom, it sends up this enormous flower stalk.
Sometimes taller than a house.
Yeah. But here's the thing. As that flower blooms, the leaves, they just wither away. By the time the flower's in full glory, the leaves are gone.
So the question is, where did they go?
Exactly. And the answer is their essence, all that stored energy, it went into the flower. It's a transfer, not a disappearance.
A transformation.
And that links back to the parent-child thing. When your kids grow up, it might feel like part of you, your energy, is gone. But if you can see it differently, like with a formless perspective,
Seeing yourself continuing in them.
yeah, then what feels like losing a bit of yourself is actually a gain in another way. Your legacy, your influence continues.
And that formless view isn't just about family, right? It's about seeing our connection to everyone. So a loss in one small area might actually be contributing to strength somewhere else in the network.
It's like basic physics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Conservation of energy. Energy doesn't vanish, it just changes shape.
Precisely. Like a cloud. It doesn't cease to exist when it rains.
Right, it becomes the rain.
Which then nourishes the earth, helps things grow.
Sure.
It's all part of a cycle. Constant transformation, constant exchange.
So how does this play out in, like, the real world?
Yeah.
Leadership, relationships, that kind of thing.
Well, they brought up Liu Gang, the Han Dynasty founder. Apparently, he was very aware of his own weaknesses.
Oh, in what way?
He knew he wasn't the best general or the best strategist or the best logistics guy.
But he knew who was.
Exactly. He brought in experts Han Jin for the army, Zhang Liang for strategy, Zhao He for keeping things running. He gave them real power.
So by losing that direct control.
He gained overall strength, stability. His empire lasted because he knew how to delegate, how to trust others' strengths. That loss of direct control was actually a massive gain.
That makes sense. And this idea of like strategic loss
Yeah.
also came up with Toby Nim's mentoring work with all those students.
Yeah, around 300 now, I think. Inspiring leaders, healers, and initially pouring so much time, energy, even resources into them.
It must have looked like a huge output, a loss on paper.
In the short term, maybe, especially with unique teachings in those early classes, it's a massive investment of self.
Giving away a lot without immediate payback.
But the perspective changes when you look longer term. That deep investment, that freely given support, it builds incredible dedication. The students want to give back, even early on.
It generates something money can't buy. Loyalty, commitment.
Right. And that connects to formless giving. It looks like mentor gives, student receives. But deeper down, it's more simultaneous, a continuous flow of learning, respect, support, way beyond just a transaction.
Duene noticed that too, right? The peaceful energy among the students.
Yeah, she wondered if maybe that harmony came from navigating their own past difficulties, their own losses that led them there.
That makes sense. Hardship can definitely be a catalyst, like that cloud and seedling image. Again, constant change, constant exchange.
But let's be honest, accepting that things are temporary, especially things we value, possessions, even emotions, that's hard. We want to cling on.
Totally. We resist letting go.
But that principle, this is because it reminds us everything's connected. Our gains, our losses, they're tied to things we might not even see.
And then there was that incredibly moving story, the pharmacist.
Oh, yes. That was quite something. He lost his young child, 3 years old, in an accident.
Just devastating, unimaginable.
Understandably, he was in deep despair. But then, on the exact same day, his child died.
His sibling, back in Vietnam, had a baby boy.
A boy who looked remarkably like the child he'd just lost.
It's almost unbelievable. Such a profound, unexpected sense of continuation.
It really highlights that cyclical nature, doesn't it? Apparent endings, new beginnings happening side by side like winter and spring.
Right, the bare trees in winter, they look dead.
But inside, all that potential for new life is just dormant, waiting. Each season holds the seeds of the others.
So even in absence, there's potential for renewal.
And the key insight really is trying to see that within our gains, there are often hidden losses. And within loss, there are often hidden gains, like a flower blooming. It's the result of the roots, the stem, the sun, so many things contributing.
And for us, personally, who we are is shaped by everything. The good, the bad, the gains, the losses. We're like a tapestry of all those influences.
And sometimes a loss is just clearly a lesson, isn't it? Though maybe you only see that looking back.
Yeah, which brings up the tough part. How do you actually handle that time after a loss, but before you see any potential gain? That waiting period.
It takes practice, I think. Consciously trying to keep a broader perspective, remembering things are connected, that cycles happen, having some trust in that process can ease the waiting.
Taesim Nim shared something really personal about facing death.
Right. He realized his biggest fear wasn't actually dying itself.
It was not having lived fully, not fulfilling his potential.
Exactly. And then the comfort came from knowing his essence, his impact, the love. It would continue. Through his students, his loved ones, his legacy lives on.
Like making tea. The flavor goes into the water, the leaves are left behind, but transformed.
Or that story about Lun Van Sao, the man who brought the purple phoenix flower to Elad.
Oh, I love that flower.
He's gone now, but every time someone sees that flower and appreciates it, his legacy continues. What seems lost persists in a new form.
And that Buddhist idea of rebirth through our actions, our words, it reinforces that we're all connected, influencing each other constantly.
We're constantly being reborn in the impact we have. So try seeing yourself in your loved ones, in the people you affect. It highlights that connection.
So the goal is maybe to move beyond seeing Duke and Mutt as these fixed opposites.
And just see life as this continuous flow.
Yeah.
Sometimes conditions are favorable, sometimes they aren't.
The universe isn't handing out favors or punishments.
It's more about the natural results of our actions, interacting with universal laws like cause and effect.
Tarim Indian looked back at his own past hardship.
And saw them not just as losses, but as necessary experiences. Things that shaped him.
Like that story on the mountain trail, where everyone's status just melted away.
Yeah. Facing a shared challenge stripped away the superficial stuff. It showed how relative our perceived needs and values really are.
And that quote, Life as a limited time offer to experience everything.
The whole spectrum of emotions, it really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? Did I agree to this whole wild ride? Am I embracing all of it?
It seems easier somehow to see the gain in a past loss, with hindsight.
Definitely.
But seeing the potential loss within a current game, that's trickier. We don't want to look too closely sometimes.
We tend to savor the wins and maybe ignore the trade-offs. Like you gain a partner, maybe you lose a little bit of that absolute personal freedom. It's a shift.
Could be Neem talked about his own struggle with that, right? Meeting solitude for creative work versus building a community.
Yes, that internal conflict. Acknowledging the loss of total autonomy for the greater gain of connection, impact, legacy.
It's like parenthood again, isn't it? Accepting the challenges, the losses of time and energy for the well-being of your kids.
That choice to give, to nurture, even with the sacrifice, that can be a deeply fulfilling kind of loss.
Like the football coach finding joy in his student's success, even though he's not the star anymore.
Exactly. The perspective shifts. What you value changes. Every stage of life has its own kind of value, its own radiance. Comparing them doesn't really help.
That poem, Kuchin Lakale, living in the world, finding joy in the way.
Beautifully put. Finding happiness by being present. Simple wisdom. Eat when hungry, sleep when tired.
And the three kinds of duyan, the karmic connections. Past, future, present.
Right. Let go of regret about the past. Don't obsess over the uncontrollable future.
Just cherish the present. Be fully here.
That's where the power is. Focusing on now. Every moment, every action is a creation. Like a seed underground, understanding often grows slowly, gradually.
Thumian had that realization during the talk, didn't she? About trying too hard to control the future.
Yeah, and missing the present moment because of it. It's easy to do.
She also shared that story about the bank hack, losing money while asleep.
Oof, yeah. A very clear, unwelcome loss.
And she was honest. It's hard to immediately see the Duke in something like that. But perspective shifts with time. And she mentioned feeling self-blame too.
Which is so common, isn't it? We question ourselves intensely when things go wrong, but rarely when things go right.
True.
Dessim and Niem observed that success often brings challenges later. It's the cycle of learning, building resilience. He actually felt more radiant when overcoming difficulties.
So for anyone listening who's feeling raw from a recent loss, your feelings are valid. It's part of your journey.
Absolutely. And maybe losses that aren't directly your fault are just clearing space, making way for something new.
Like the lotus flower, that analogy came up again.
Yes, the beautiful lotus rising from the mud. Happiness, growth can emerge from suffering. Don't reject the mud. See it as fertile ground.
It links to that Buddhist idea, Fien non tukpo. Afflictions are enlightenment.
Essentially, yeah. Negative states can be the trigger for waking up for deeper understanding. Trash is also flowers.
So past failures, painful stuff. It nourishes future growth.
It can, definitely. Relationship struggles might lead to much stronger bonds later.
But does thinking about how a gain might eventually fade, does that take away the joy now? Like the coach example again?
Not necessarily. The coach finds real fulfillment in seeing others succeed. It's a different kind of value, a different brilliance for that stage of life. Don't compare stages. Just enjoy the present.
Okay, and meditation helps with this. Non-identification.
Right. Observing feelings, good or bad, as temporary visitors, not clinging desperately to the good, not fiercely resisting the bad. You save so much energy that way.
Because the suffering isn't just the bad situation.
It's often our negative attitude towards it, our resistance. Acceptance is huge.
So welcoming all experiences as valuable instead of fighting the ones we don't like.
That fundamentally changes everything. Like the rejected gift, it still belongs to the giver. If you don't accept an unwelcome gift emotionally, it has less power over you.
Material losses are maybe the easiest to accept eventually, once you get past the blame.
Often, yes. And that image of the white storks flying off in the morning, returning at night.
That cycle, returning to yourself.
Exactly. That rhythm of life.
Wow. So the big takeaway is really this deep connection between gain and loss, shifting perspective, seeing the growth potential in challenges.
And remembering the lotus in the mud, it's such a powerful image for that.
So maybe take some time to think about your own experiences. Where have you seen gain and loss? Or maybe loss hidden within a gain?
Yeah, reflect on that. How can you cultivate more of that formless perspective to navigate life's ups and downs with maybe a bit more peace?
And perhaps revisiting some of these ideas we talked about could help spark some insights too.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.